I'm Patrick V, and you're listening to the podcast Reimagining Leadership, where my focus is on interviewing others as well as providing research that demonstrates there is a better way to lead for all of us when we focus on the behaviors that inspire, empower, and compel others to want to go where we're asking them to go. My guests today are both named Olga. They are part of a global volunteer movement called Allatra TV that focuses on creating a creative society. And I believe never has that been more important than now, globally, in terms of figuring out how can we do better for each other. And that's what we're going to explore on this episode. So let's get into it. Thank you so much, Olga and Olga, for both being on the podcast. We had an opportunity to get introduced through Zoom about a month ago, and I was able to be on your show last week, and I loved the concept of what you were doing in terms of really trying to make an impact globally. And I think in the environment that we're in right now, I think there is such an opportunity for what you two have sort of put out there. And I was hoping we could talk really about how did you come up with this concept? What's your background, and what was that moment that you thought we're going to do a live television show globally on this?
Yes, thank you so much for having us today on your podcast. We really do appreciate it, Patrick, and thank you. So first, I would like to talk a little bit about Allatra International Public Movement. It is a movement that was established in 2011 on the basis of Lagada, International Public Organization. And today, participants of the movement are implementing vast majority of global projects all over the world. And it is an organization that is outside of politics, outside of religion, meaning we have volunteers from all over the world of any social status, age, race, any political affiliation or religious affiliation. On May 11th of 2019, we had a conference that was called Society the Last Chance. People from all over the world joined in large conference halls. They all got together. I would say thousands of people. We had over 140 countries joining. And on video Zoom, just like we're talking right now, on a video call, they all got together to discuss the problems that are going on in the world today. And we see that there's two major things that are happening. First, we see, if you know the doomsday clock, it's already showing that the civilization is very close to self-destruction. And also, we talked about the climatic changes that are going on in the world. And the conference concluded that the central problem of the modern mankind is the consumer format of society. And the only way out of the current situation is to change the format of the consumer format of the vector of society to a creative one. And so here we came up with this project that's called Creative Society. And of course, the first thing that we would have to do is we thought about, okay, so how are we going to do this? Do people actually want the change? So here we had thousands of people joining us on this global conference, but maybe other people don't see a need in the change. That is why we started doing social surveys globally all over the world to see how other people envision society of the future. And that is how we came up with the project Creative Society. And that is why now we do Zoom calls like the one you were on, Zoom interviews, as today, unfortunately, we cannot leave the house, so we cannot do person-to-person interviews.
For me, like, my background is actually in graphic design, marketing, and web design. So this is what I do, this is my profession. But at the end of the day, I always felt like there was something more that I can do. There's something more out there that I should be doing. So I felt like, and I knew that the world we were living in, it didn't seem like anyone was really happy. It didn't seem like, we can really, stop the wars. It didn't seem like, we the people can, really control anything. And I always questioned, like, why is this so? Like, why is it the world is like, you gotta, get married, build a house, plant a tree, have kids, and then what? Like, who sold us this image that this is our life? Who told us that this is what you're supposed to be? But then we realizing that people that actually went through all the steps are still unhappy. or don't have time to even enjoy retirement, or don't even have health to travel, or don't even have anything in place. And it just made myself question things like, what is going on here? Why are we kind of stuck in this consumerism, and we consume people, we consume, products, we consume ideas, everything is, what is it in it for me? But I understood that, when I do something and I don't expect anything in return, it actually benefits me. It actually helps me to grow personally and to develop personally, and to kind of say, you know what, I'm not afraid to talk to people anymore, because this is important. Like, people are not afraid to talk to us about any other, horrible subjects and negative news. But why are we sitting back and not talking about positive things and what we can do as a society? And that it is time right now to unite instead of separate. So for me, that was kind of the journey that I took, and that we are doing it as volunteers. And we have volunteers from 140 different countries, or 80 different countries. And we all talk different languages. We all on different platforms. We all communicate somehow, but we all united, and we all do those type of projects that actually internally make every single person happy.
I love that it's called a movement, because I think that has so much power to it. When you think of it, it's a movement. And it's funny because I think of leadership that way, or how leadership needs to change. And I think it directly is correlated with what you're doing, because one of the quotes that I will often use in leadership, if your actions inspire somebody to do more, learn more, dream more, or become more, you're a leader. And to me, that's the movement, right? It's our actions inspiring others to do more. I'm curious, and you guys both had this, obviously 2011, this is not a new concept that you were thinking of. And even 2019, having this global conference, you were thinking about this before we were in this crisis that we're in right now. And I'd be curious, what are you seeing now? Are you seeing a difference in terms of either more people being interested in what you're putting out there?
Yes, definitely. I think when this all started, people did not see changes. They did not see problems in the consumer society we were living. They did not see the problems in the climate back then. But now I think more people are actually have a little more time to stop and think, wait a minute, I'm living like a hamster in a hamster wheel. I see that there are problems going on outside. I look outside my window and it's snowing. I can see that there's a lot more global changes happening in the world. And I think a lot more people today are stopping and thinking, how do I want to live? How do I want the society to be? And we actually see a response from so many people all over the world that also have the same goal. They also want to do something. They want to live in a better world. They want to live in a better society. And it's funny that you said that from 2011 until now, we just see so much change. I think a lot more people are realizing that we can do better, that we are a civilized society, and we can all sit down and talk and actually figure out how we want to live in the future.
Yeah. To me, it's interesting too, in that this is really the first probably global event that's impacted us. I think that draws into what you're talking about. It unifies people around the globe of saying we're all impacted by this, and how many people are feeling the same thing as we're isolated and stuck at home. Either people that have lost their jobs, or people that are fearful of losing their jobs, or people that are sort of in this place of like, what am I doing? Like, what is this all about right now?
And
There's more.
also we realized another thing. When you solve a problem locally, it helps. It's huge, no doubt about it. It's really great when you build a hospital in Africa, or you do something locally. It's wonderful. But we also see the big picture, and we see that the world's not changing. We still have kids that are hungry, that they don't have water. We still see lack of all kinds of needs in certain parts of the country. And we understand that we need to change things globally. And today, with the technology that we have, with the scientists that we have, with everything today that we have in this world, we can definitely make a global change where people live like they're supposed to, where they have the needs that they, medical needs, where they have water, where they have food. And it shouldn't be a problem today. We have all that wonderful technology that is, thanks to our scientists, was already developed.
Yeah.
We just need to get it out there to all.
I'm sure you both have seen some of the pictures that have been put up recently about, it might be a picture in India that was 2 months ago versus today. And the picture 2 months ago, you can't even see the buildings. And today it's like crystal clear in terms of all of the pollution that's gone because we're not all driving around and the factories are closed. I mean, there are so many examples of that now in terms of how our impact on the earth, now that we're all stopping, things are improving.
Yes, that's a great example to see how, people do affect the ecology. But we also have another program that is climate control. And what we have learned from many scientists that we actually interviewed just like that on, through Zoom, is that we are going through a lot of cycles. And we know that cycles existed for a long, long time ago. We know, it was cold, it was hot, it was cold, it was hot. Yeah. So I think we are approaching one of the cycles, based on my understanding, that's where if we don't do anything right now as humanity, we might not be able to survive a rapid climate change, because for some countries around the globe, the climate change is so real. Even 5 years ago, we didn't have climate refugees. We didn't. That concept didn't exist. Right now, every day we have climate refugees, people that go into other countries. And as a society, how do we make sure when we become climate refugees, another country is accepting us and saying, yes, I want you, come in, I have food for you, I have shelter for you, let's work it out, let's work together. Because our mind is always thinking, you know what, it's never gonna happen to me, somewhere else, not me. But in reality, what we've seen around the globe, it's gonna affect all of us at some point.
Yeah. I mean, really, we're in one of those situations right now. I think most people think the virus that's out there, it's not going to affect me. It's going to affect somebody else. Nobody thinks they're the one that is going to become sick, right? It's going to be somebody else that's going to do it. So I don't need to do anything. And we realize that we all need to do something or it's not going to get better. There's something that sticks in my mind based on this conversation from both of you when we're talking about how we go through the house, the job, the planting the trees, this is what we've been sold. And people end up saying, what else? And I look at a lot of the research that's out there in regards to what makes people happy. And we found that it's not money. To a point it is, obviously, but that's not the end. That one of the things that keeps coming up as a theme is purpose, which I think hits directly on what both of you were talking about here. It's that when there's a purpose beyond ourselves, we just feel more engaged in terms of what we're doing.
Yes, I have to agree. There has to be a purpose. There has to be a goal. There have to be something to strive towards. As well, we talked to many people around the world and they said that money is not the answer. There's people that have tons of money but are unfortunately unhappy. And when you have this purpose and you have this common goal, then you know that people can do so much. You even know from your personal, for myself, once I have that goal, I know that I can do so much, right? And together we can actually change a lot of things.
Yeah.
And here's also the goal of the Creative Society. First, of course, is to find out whether or not people want to live in a creative society, whether or not they want to see the change in the world and how they envision it. What would they like? Do they want free, high quality healthcare, free education all over the world that's high quality, that is allowed for everybody? Do they want to only work 4 hours a week, 4 days a week, and spend the rest of their time spend it with their family, spend it on their hobbies, spend it on self-development, anything? And as we talked on our past broadcast, people are only productive 4 hours a day at work. The rest of the time they spend either by the coffee right? Or talking to the person that works to them next to them. So we know that in order to increase productivity, I mean, all the studies do show that 4 hours is enough. And also Allatra provides a platform for all the people to discuss these concepts and the model of the creative societies and all spheres of human life. And also we want to find ways of uniting all of mankind and create conditions for every person to become an active participant in the life of the society. And so these are the things we're working on right now to see what we can do and how people want to live. But another thing we found is that it's important to talk about those things. If we do not talk about how we envision creative society, if we do not show positive examples, then unfortunately, everybody lives the same way. There's no change. But once we start talking about it and a person realizes that, wait a minute, if they're talking about it, then it's possible. Maybe I can share my understandings or I can share my ideas. And when people start talking about it and the word starts going out and we can see the big, huge picture and we have a common goal, then we know what to strive towards. And that's the purpose, right? Once we have that purpose,
Yeah, without
we
question.
can definitely do a lot.
What do you think is the greatest challenge for both of you right now?
Well, the greatest challenge is actually, it's within us. Like the greatest challenge is listening to your mind that's saying, don't do this, don't call this person, don't talk to this person, do something else, go wash dishes, go do this, go do that. And in reality, you understand that something is pulling you away from the, bigger picture, because you never know by talking to Patrick what kind of seeds you planted at that point, because Patrick might go talk to his wife and have a conversation about creative society. And then all of a sudden the kid hears it and says, yes, I'm on board, I want this. And then, we all come out from this quarantine and all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. And yesterday didn't exist and today it's our reality and we all talk about it. And all of a sudden, we don't have negative news. On CNN, we all of a sudden talking about how we could split all the resources that we already have around the globe and make everybody happy. How do we make sure everybody has electricity? How do we make sure everybody can travel safely? How do we make sure everybody has salary that they can afford a living? How do we do that? Come on, people, we are all in this one boat together. And we know that because the virus proved it, that no one is immune to anything. So that's my, I guess, biggest challenge is, self-motivation, and it all comes from within. It's either I'm stopping something or I'm, going forward with things.
And you hit on a great point there, right? Because we talk ourselves out of a lot of stuff that, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a woman who wrote a book, Mel Robbins wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. And the book is about basically saying that she talks about her own life experience, but said, anytime I waited more than 5 seconds to do something that maybe was outside of what my comfort zone, I talked myself out of doing it. It was either it wasn't the right time, I was too busy, it was a stupid idea. And how many of us do that, right? That we say, I can't make a difference. Nobody's going to be able to listen to me. It's really not worth it. So we talk ourselves out of it. That, and I think also you bring up another great point, Olga, is that I think we answer the questions that we ask ourselves. And if we focus on why something can't be done, we will find enough reasons why it can't be done. And I agree. I think the opposite is true with that as well. Is if we look to this and say, not why can't we do it, but how are we going to get this thing done? It changes our focus.
I agree. And also what I really enjoy being a volunteer for Allatra International Public Movement is that we're redefining how we run. It is a nonprofit. So we actually don't take any donations. We don't, turn any type of money around. No one is getting any salaries anywhere. Everything is done from the, if people want to do something, they'll do it. If people don't want to do something, then it's not going to get done. So this is what I enjoy, because I have been part of some of the nonprofits, and we all understand it's set up as business, and someone is getting a nice salary, and someone is doing that, and volunteers are coming in for a couple hours and what's not. But this kind of makes the whole humanity part present, because there is no one that's getting paid. Everybody is volunteering their time. Everyone is using their best talents. And the best thing, we're teaching each other how to do video edits. We teach each other how to do live broadcasts. We teach each other how to take interviews. We teach each other how to use Photoshop, how to use other programs that we can come up with content, and we can come up with, put together conferences that are global and that are actually affecting many people around the world.
So with that said, if somebody wants to volunteer that's listening, how do they do that? Like, say somebody says, I want to get involved in this. How do I do that?
Yes, there's an email address on our website, allatra.org. You can just send us an email, and we will gladly talk to you and see what project you would like to participate in, what you would like to do. We do, as Olga said, teach. If somebody always wanted to do voiceovers or video montage, then we would gladly teach you how to do that, or anything else. So we have business professionals, business owners that love to be behind the camera, and that's what they always wanted to do, or they wanted to do video montage, and they come to Allatra, and instead of here they are wearing a suit at work and they're a business owner, and here they come here and they are standing behind the camera or taking interviews or anything like that. So people truly do what they love to do. And also, you said the biggest challenge, and as Olga said, the most important thing is to understand that you have a responsibility, to take that responsibility upon yourself and not put it on others, right? And that's how also I think is a big part of what we do. Will we say, well, he's the one that needs to do it, or they're gonna do it, it's their fault. So we never think of ourselves. We never think that maybe I should be doing this. Maybe I should see how I can solve it, right? So taking responsibility I think is crucial.
Yeah. So say I wanted to join as a volunteer. How would I find out what fits for me? Is there a list that I could go to say, these are the projects, these are the things that are going on, or that I could sort of plug in? Or does somebody say, is there some type of survey that's done on me to ask me what my interests are?
So yes, usually we'll
You know what, I'm going to just interrupt for a second. You know what's interesting? We actually don't even have a database of our volunteers. We don't collect any information. So if someone wants to join, they're just join. We'll add them to the Skype group. We'll add them. There is no, we know they exist. They're out there. There's people, but there's not an official, sign up form. The official sign up form is your own decision of, I'm going to do something better for this world. And I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to take responsibility for it. So that's what a true, socially active volunteer is, at least to me.
Yeah, so you would just exactly. So if somebody contacts us via email, we just, we call them, ask them what they like to do. All our projects are online, so they take a look. Some people are really interested in climate, so they can either look for climate news, or they want to be a reporter, or they want to do anything behind the camera, or creative society. There's a lot of different projects, and whatever they like to do, we'll let them do. And we just teach them how to do it if they truly, truly want to. And they take responsibility, and that's it.
Got it. I love that. Because really it is, it's a self-motivated volunteer, right? I mean, you've got to, where that
yes, and we don't schedule the time when you do volunteer. So sometimes, we have our calls at 10 p.m. at night or something, because that's when the kids are, went to bed. So for some people, they can do things during the day. Some people, we are in different time zones. So sometimes half of the world is already sleeping, another half is doing something. And then, it's very interesting. And the communication is so open. And you'd be surprised how we have this mindset of everyone is a stranger. Well, no longer everyone is a stranger. Everybody is aiming at the same goal of creative society. And it's so easy to pick up the phone and talk to so-called stranger on another side, but you already connected to them in so many ways than one. It's just awesome. And it's so liberating. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the world that we all dream of.
I think we've probably been spoiled in some regard. Now, you guys have been at it far longer than I have. I've had the podcast for about 2 years. And when I look at some of the areas that are listening, that are on the other side of the globe, it just blows my mind to think we're all connected. I've had conversations with incredible people out of the Netherlands and out of Australia and out of France. It blows my mind to think about that, what's available to us. So as we wrap things up, is there anything that you'd like listeners to act on?
Yes, so it would be great if anybody has any suggestions, questions, or if anybody wants to share with us their vision of a creative society, a world that they would like to live in. They can send us their email to Allatra TV USA. I'm going to say it again, Allatra TV USA at gmail.com. And also, we would like to invite everybody to a global conference. We had to reschedule it from this year to next year due to the what's going on right now with the quarantine. It's going to be on May 15th of 2021. It's going to be called Creative Society, Ways to Achieve It. And we would like to invite anyone that would like to join, talk about Creative Society. This is going to be a global conference again, where people from over 180 countries are going to join via video call, just like we're doing right now. And we will talk about ways that we can of how we can live in the future.
Perfect. And I'll have all that stuff in the show notes as well so that people can go to the links to connect with you guys. I will tell you, I've really appreciated this. Ever since we did the call a week ago, I couldn't wait to have this interview because I thought there was what you're doing, and in the world that we live in right now, I think it's so valuable. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
All right. Enjoy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My two friends, the Olgas, are so inspiring to me because they really are focused on looking at approaches that really impact all of us as a community on a global level. And as I listen to them talk, it really is about creating purpose, about being for others. That's what their whole movement is about. And if we all band together, imagine what things can be accomplished when we do that. If you know somebody that you think would be interested in this episode or joining certainly the group Allatra TV, I would encourage you to forward this on. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. And it would mean the world to me if you would leave a rating and a comment on this or any other episode, because that is how this message continues to get out there about reimagining leadership in a way that inspires, empowers, and compels others to want to follow our leads. And as well, until our next episode, I hope you're able to go out there and rise above your best.